first community meeting was held back in November 2nd, so held back a few months ago. At this meeting, we just wanted to identify what the existing issues were for the corridor. We wanted to kind of look beyond the exit 14 and look more on what the issues were on Martin Road in general. And we provided a survey, and we had survey results that we received a lot of good feedback. In fact, that's where kind of this whole concept of the GHMPO Martin Road intersection improvements came about. Meeting number 2 was held January 18th, 2017, and we came back to the group and brought out there 6 different concepts, to be discussed in that forum. Again, we provided a survey for that, and on top of the selection of the different alternatives, we also had a lot of input on some of the issues that they saw that you guys have seen with each one of those concepts as well. And so again, it's entirely part of the planning process, but provided some good input on the direction and keeping this project moving forward in regards of identifying an alternative for Martin Road. At that meeting, the top vote getter was alternative 6, which is shown behind me, and we'll go into that a little bit more in detail. But after that, it was really spread out in regards of the remaining 5 alternatives, and also the input that was received from those alternatives as well. So next, like I had mentioned, in March we had a work session with the stakeholder committee that stood just a minute ago, and we wanted to dig in a little bit deeper with them about kind of going into greater detail with a smaller set of alternatives. That meeting was held at the Hall County building, and we discussed 3 alternatives. The first alternative that we discussed was the concept 6, that was a leading vote getter at meeting number 2. Through our discussions with GDOT and Hall County, it was determined that there's a large safety issues regarding that concept. Just with the thought process of that vehicles would be making illegal turns to still access whatever direction that they wanted to go to, and so understanding that. The project team developed one alternative, and the stakeholder committee, Martin Road Stakeholder Committee, they developed another alternative as well, which we discussed at this meeting. Concept 6, for those that haven't been at the meetings, it was keeping the existing proposed alignment of Martin Road to connect to the new interchange. But the major factor in this concept was there was going to be proposed traffic islands to divert traffic from Martin Road, that you could only turn left or right onto Atlanta Highway, and the same coming from the new exit as well. And as you can see, there's a lot of opportunities to kind of see illegal U-turns or really the decrease in mobility in that area as well. So next, it was the project team concept. Really, the whole concept of this was to make Martin Road a safer road, lowering the speeds, making it truly a more residential roadway. But it would keep that existing access from the existing alignment of Martin Road to the new interchange. And we'll go over this in a little bit greater detail in a couple slides. All the different improvements on it. And then the next alternative was the Martin Road Stakeholder Committee alternative. Now, this kind of derived from one of the other concepts that was presented at meeting number 2. And it was essentially disconnecting the existing alignment of Martin Road from the new intersection point with the new interchange and creating a new route, a new location route that intersected with Atlanta Highway just north of the existing Martin Road intersection with Atlanta Highway. So during our meeting on March 30th with the Stakeholder Committee, we start to dig in a little bit deeper on what are the actual costs for these 3 different concepts. So to go to concept number 6, really this has the least amount of improvements that and the smallest footprint for improving. And so this had the lowest cost. Next, concept 7, it had the highest cost improvement was designing a roundabout for the GHMPO Martin Road intersection to improve safety at that intersection. So all the other improvements really were focused on signage, a stop sign or no through trucks, and so you had a limited investment in regards to those improvements. And then the concept 8, the Martin Road Stakeholder Committee concept, you were dealing with a whole new alignment, roadway alignment. So you were dealing with right-of-way and new construction. And so your cost was, I think it was about 6 times greater what alternative 7 was. So based upon, factoring in the costs and these three alternatives and including the safety component, the group decided and voted upon concept 7 to be their recommendation to move forward. Concept 7, it'd be a continuation of the existing policy of no through trucks, of the freight trucks, and improved signage on Atlanta Highway and on Winder Highway, so that it's very clear for truckers, that no through trucks allowed. The roundabout is also kind of a design element to discourage those through truckers as well. And so roundabout ahead, signage for that as well, would be recommended, so that it's really out there that a truck does not want to, 18-wheeler does not want to drive down Martin Road. It's going to be a difficult time to turn around. Next is, one of the comments that we heard from meeting number 1 was the congestion created in the mornings and afternoons around schools, and that congestion spilling out onto Martin Road and even onto Atlanta Highway. And so currently the county is talking to the school district about addressing those the overflow parking that corresponds with the school traffic as well. It's technically it's off of the roadway, so it's really in the school's jurisdiction for that. But that is one of the items that is going to be discussed moving forward. Also, next, along the area along the school, Martin Road's widened out a lot more than the rest of the residential segment. And the idea is to kind of right size that segment of Martin Road so that it's kind of that gateway into this residential community. And so, there's opportunities to, at that entrance point at the intersection of Atlanta Highway and Martin Road, to have a grass median kind of as that gateway into the neighborhood. Also, the idea is to have safer center turn lanes for the school and the churches as well, to kind of hold some of that traffic queue that's kind of spilling out onto Martin Road. Next is the roundabout concept. Again, the sporadicness of the school traffic and the church traffic. Having a roundabout, it's the vehicles yield to one another in the roundabout, and so you have a continuous movement of vehicles and that constant flow. And so when you're having that one-way directional movement, you're not having that long queue of every vehicle stopping at that stop sign. So, we think that's a strong recommendation to have that continuous flow of vehicles, during those brief peak periods of traffic. And also, GHMPO would be this is what we're proposing, and there still needs to be concept studies and a concept design of this. But you would have to have more of a better design of that GHMPO Martin Road intersection as well, to improve the visibility of those intersecting roadways. Next, for the two larger subdivisions that are off of Martin Road, in order to improve safety and lower the speeds of the vehicles traveling along the corridor, we recommend that you create a 3-way and 4-way stop at those intersections. Next, currently there's passing lanes on Martin Road. And another comment that we had in that meeting number 1 was, cars passing one another and the speeds along Martin Road. And so having that no passing zone, as well as lowering the speeds from the current 45 to 40 or even 35. But lowering that speeds and applying those stop signs, hopefully will solve those speeding issues, traveling on Martin Road. And then next, kind of mirroring what we saw on and what I spoke about on the Martin Road Atlanta Highway segment or intersection, no food truck signage on Winder Highway, and same thing with the roundabout ahead. Kind of mirroring that, so that really to discourage those food trucks from traveling down the road. So Sam's going to talk about kind of the next steps for this recommendation.
So where do we go from here? The concept that we are recommending to you tonight is alternative number 7. If this alternative is acceptable to you tonight, and you tell us that it's something you can live with, then we will take this alternative through our committee process. The Gainesville Hall Metropolitan Planning Organization is a regional transportation planning agency, and we have 3 committees. We are a technical coordinating committee, which consists of engineers and planners, and they make recommendations to the policy committee, which consists of elected officials from all the local jurisdictions. There is a citizens advisory committee consisting of citizen representatives from various jurisdictions. That body also makes recommendations to the policy committee. And then ultimately, the policy committee makes decisions for the region. So right now, the widening of Martin Road is in our current regional transportation plan. And we have to, the first step would be to change our long-range transportation plan, replacing the widening of Martin Road with alternative number 7, if that's what is acceptable to you. So we have already initiated that process with our committees. Right now, the current cycle of the committees is this month and next month. If we do not get that done in this cycle, the next cycle of the committees will be in July and August. We can put it in, the replacement of the Martin Road widening project in that cycle of our agendas and make a decision on it by August when the policy committee meets. So we have a transportation plan that lists all the projects that we plan to implement over the next 25 years between now and year 2040. And from that plan, we pick projects that we are going to implement over the upcoming 4 years. So the first step we have to do is change our plan, amend our plan, replacing the Martin Road project, and then go from there and explore funding for it. Right now, this Martin Road project is in the medium term of our plan, which means it's for implementation between 2023 and 2032. I know that's a year down the road, we want it sooner. So it's all based on funding availability. So we will work on first changing the plan and then work with Georgia DOT and other agencies to secure, explore funding for it. In the meantime, we can do some temporary measures like putting up stop signs and putting up bigger no truck signs. Those are pretty simple things that we can do that don't have to wait too long. Separately from that, Hall County will work on changing, removing Martin Road from gateway corridor policies. They are mainly for commercial corridors. Since we want to keep Martin Road residential, we can work with the Hall County Commission in removing Martin Road from those gateway corridor standards. And since Martin Road is in Hall County will be the lead agency in exploring and securing funding for Martin Road alternative number 7. And so that concludes our presentation. Now I would ask Mr. Dan White to come here and...
Thank you. First off, I just wanted to thank all our Hall County Commissioners, GHMPO, officials that have been working with us for the last year. We've had a lot of conversations. I also want to thank Darlene in particular, leading our stakeholders committee. Let's give her a round. We have spent a lot of time. It's been a little over a year since we started this process, and we appreciate everybody's input. We appreciate everybody who has expressed concern. And we can't always get everything we want, but I think we've come up with a really good compromise that will help resolve most of the issues that we've had. Safety being the number one. Obviously, with trucks going down Martin Road today, they're going down regularly. We've already had 42 truck citations just in the last year, and that's the ones that caught. So I think we're seeing them, 2 or 3 a day. So what I would, from a stakeholders committee, I appreciate definitely the option number 7, but I also would request the stop signs and lowering the speed limit as quick as we can do it, because I think that will help a lot in safety. We want to be proactive in preventing anything from happening accident-wise or anything like that. So if we could get that done quicker, especially before, our objective will be definitely before exit 14 is completed, because once that's done, it's going to open up more traffic. So if we get at least the stop signs and lowering the speed limit. We are in agreement definitely with the things up here of taking off the long-range plan, because that's a big deal. We get that through this next session or two. And also getting it off in the gateway corridor overlay district. So a lot of work. Appreciates everyone's effort. We're going to open it up, I think, now for discussion. But realize we've had a lot of people spending a lot of time trying to get to this point. And first off, I just want to thank everyone for your time and your effort in this. Appreciate it. Thanks.
I want to recognize 2 gentlemen who are among us. We have Mr. Benny Bagwell, who sits on our policy committee. He is one of the decision makers for the region. Our Georgia House Representative, Emery Donahue, has just joined us. Thank you for coming. And I want to share the last page with you. It has a website address where you can get information on our study and on Martin Road. With that, we'll open up for discussion and questions and comments. Yes, sir.
I apologize for not being at previous meetings. In the interest of clarity and brevity, in 2 sentences or less, what's the reason for exit 14 in the first place?
I have been working in this region for 3.5 years, so I have inherited this. I heard that this project was conceived back in year 2000. I heard that one of the purpose of this Exit 14 project was to provide access to the industrial developments west side of I-985. Secondly, it was to promote economic development to this region. Thirdly, to provide better emergency access to the Martin Road as well as to the west side of I-985. Economic development, emergency access, and industrial development access. Those are the reasons that I have heard. Yes, sir.
I'd just like to say thanks to the committee that has worked so hard for all of us. And it is so encouraging to see our government working with us and listening to us. Well, if you don't appreciate that, folks, we're in trouble because I just have to say thank you and thank all of you back there that are our government servants. We appreciate all you've done for all of us. Thank you.
We don't have room for improvement, but we always appreciate the compliment.
What is the timetable for construction of Exit 14?
The construction is starting in July of this year. We're looking at a 2-year time frame.
And
You want to take a few? Yes, ma'am, what do you think?
Mr. Collapse of the section of 85, can we take Exit 14 off the table and use our money for that?
I wish it was my decision.
Good idea.
Yes, sir.
Can you comment a little bit on the rotary, the roundabout, and the design standards that would be applied to it? Seems like a lot of traffic volume to be handled in a roundabout design.
At this point, the roundabout is only a concept. Only a concept. If the concept is acceptable to you, then we'll go into the designing phase of it. So tonight, we just want to share with you that we are exploring a roundabout. It's a way to discourage trucks from going there through Martin Road. We have heard over and over from the Martin Road community that trucks do go through Martin Road. Despite Hall County's regulation, the truck is not allowed. So it's a way to design the road in a way that will hopefully prevent, if not prevent, at least reduce the likelihood.
Well, if I can follow on, just what I'm asking is, even though it's just at the concept level, have you at least looked at it from a volumetric standpoint to see if it actually is a concept that can be implemented?
Yes, the plan is to conduct a traffic impact study for those major intersections that will be impacted, so that we could identify and have a better understanding of the volume that will be traveling through that intersection, so that we would know, the certain the turning lanes for, say, the break off of GM Turk or that come back on Martin Road. So we'd have a better understanding of that.
Thank you.
Commissioner Powell?
Add to that a little bit. I'm Billy Powell. You may have read in the paper where the commission just awarded a roundabout contract to a contractor, E.R. Snell, for an intersection at the intersection of Sardis and Leadington Road. I don't know if any of y'all travel that road, but it gets huge lines of traffic in the afternoon, and it's also about, I don't know, half a mile from Chesapeake High School. So it gets a huge amount of traffic. And we did a traffic study on that one. The intersection, according to our engineers, graded in F, like a written paper. And with the installation of the roundabout, it becomes an A intersection. So that'll give you some clue of the volume. I want to add another part. I know everybody's anxious to get it now if it's approved by the GHMPO, but sorry about that. estimates for the roundabout were, I think, $540,000, does that sound right?
Six,
And-
maybe six.
And it came in at 379. So we had real competitive bids. And I was talking to Shrikant earlier, if there's any way that this decision could get fast-tracked, that yes, that's what everybody wants to do, then perhaps we could piggyback off of that current contract that we are Snell with, and we already have a design for that. There'll have to be some tweaking for the design, and then implementation. But I'll tell you right now, the keys to that for a quick installation are the property owners that would be giving up the right of way for that roundabout. So if any of y'all are those property owners or know those property owners, the easiest way and the fastest way is everybody that owned that property would donate the right of way. If we have to go into a purchase agreement, purchase concept for that, we have to have all of them appraised, and then we have to grade the appraisal, make sure that it fits with what everybody is, and then you start negotiations back and forth and say, well, this is the appraisal, this is what we could pay you, and they go, no, we want more than that. Well, now that process is just a little more. So, as a committee or as neighbors, you might just want to contact those property owners if you know them and say, hey, we've got this great way to improve Martin Road. A lot of great things are going to happen to it. Would you consider donating the right of way? And they might say, how much right of way can I donate? And we can come up with something pretty quick on that. No, it's not a huge amount, but it is a requirement. Kathy, you want to add anything?
You did a wonderful job.
All right.
Anybody?
I did provide a question to everybody. I always are wonderful long-term friend, but when you think about the stop signs or never cross the stop signs, what kind of way of law enforcement do they have to make an immediate difference? Because some people do ignore it, and I just would like to know how that's mounted to be sure it's effective.
Well, you folks live here. I understand that Hall County does have enforcement, that they drive by and look for violations. They ticket by letters from time to time. I've heard from the community members here that violations still go on. There's only so much law enforcement can do, which is where design comes in. So we're looking at speed humps, speeding tables, lowering the speed limit, keeping it 2-lane, and then a traffic circle. I think it will go a long way. Putting a bigger no truck sign will deter more truck drivers from driving through Martin Road. So there's only so much we can do, but we're trying to do more than what we have done so far.
The sheriff's department is very cooperative. They really helped us. We're not in the Martin Road issue, but we live near it. And I would say the sheriff's department is very attentive to that issue. They're very helpful.
We got to hear that. Okay.
I also think the stop signs will help the tow trucks because they're all even weird and they can stop you and come over and find another way to go. And just like Royal Lakes already has 2 stop signs in their neighborhood and there's not hardly any trucks that they can do.
Chairman Higgins.
I'm going to
Would you like to come over here?
But I'm a truck business, and I know that in other towns where there's no truck signs, and they enforce it, and the driver, if he goes through a section that's no truck sign, it's coming out of his pocket, the company he drives for is not gonna pay for it. So if you do it constantly, and you keep it up, it'll discourage trucks from going through there, because whoever's behind that wheel, if he gets caught going through there, he's gonna come out of his pocket, not the trucking company. It happens in many Georgia, there's a section, if you go through it, $150 fine. And nobody goes through it. And other things, they go to do that. You just have to enforce it. When it comes out of people's pockets, they put it there.
Are we still going to, as a preliminary thing, put the three-way stop at J.M. Road prior to the traffic study to help aid that traffic study and to deter those?
Right, we talked about some temporary measures in between, I guess, until we have some longer term things. Yes, we'll explore those bigger truck signs and stop signs, lowering the speed limit, things that we can do quickly and doesn't cost a whole lot. Yes, I'm sorry.
One question, the committee recommended that we move out the project of Atlanta Highway be widened to accommodate the truck traffic from exit 14. And I asked this to you after the technical committee. Could you explain a bit what was the reason of not moving that project?
We pick projects based on the amount of money that the project is available in our planning period. There's only a limited amount of money. We cannot put anything and everything that we want. So we have to be selective. So you want to move Atlanta Highway project up, which means that something has to go to a longer period because there's only so much big the pie is. We had a conversation with the city of Flowery Branch. They don't see a big need to widen Atlanta Highway at this time or in the near future in light of the projected traffic growth on that road. So combine the no major need to widen it in the near future with a limited amount of funding, where we're trying to find funding for Martin Road and we're having challenges. So those two are the reasons why we have not explored, I guess, okay, we did explore, but we have not moved up Atlanta Highway Road at this time. Yes, Chairman Higgins.
The latest transportation form, DOT, and the policy, they talk about all the different roads coming up, and Forsyth County passed a $200 million bond referendum, and they're paying for it through their digest, and talking about it, which I don't think that would fly in Hall County, but, you know, the T-Swash that was talked about and voted down a couple of years ago, I think just this past legislature, they changed it where a single county can do it by themselves. We were lumped together with other counties. So there's been some talk about whether that would be worthwhile, be another penny swash, but the people won't want that, to pay that extra penny to expedite more roads and things done. And like I said, it's something to have a good conversation about, because we are growing so fast and there's so much traffic here. We need to talk about it, see if the general population would be interested in it before we do this.
I mean, if Hall County passes such a similar bond program or a T's plus, raising some additional local funds, we can use those local funds to leverage federal dollars. I don't know whether you know, federal programs, they don't provide 100% of the funding. They provide 80%, and they require that state and local governments come up with the other 20. If you don't have the 20, you don't get the 80. So if we can pass some T-SPLOST or bond program, that gives us the ability to borrow and get that, the $80 from the federal government and implement some of these projects. Yes, sir.
One more, at the intersection of James and Martin Road, again, until the roundabout gets installed, it's a really dangerous intersection. Would you consider a couple stop signs adding to Martin Road right there? Just cars are just flying around that.
I believe that was one of the recommendations. That was your committee recommended that. Ms. Samantha.
Yes, Highway 13 is a state highway, right?
It is.
So Hall County has to put money in that, or is it just the state?
I think it's a combination of state and Hall County. On the state.
On the state.
On the state. Yes.
Why does it matter what the fire city says?
property taxes.
Hurry up before they change the subject. We can't hear what they're
These
saying.
costs, it doesn't impact your tax at this point unless you talk about a new program like bond program or another piece of
If Highway 13 is a state road, why does the city of Flowery Branch have a say-so in it?
Yes, sir.
The road comes through their city limits, so when it comes through their city limits, they control a little bit of that city limits with a little bit of say-so to where government can come in and just say, here's what we're gonna do.
Okay.
They have to really participate.
Okay.
Thank you.
These plots, the road, 5 counties that passed these plots, think of roads everywhere, looks great.
Well, every 5 years, we do a transportation plan, something I touched on earlier. Part of that transportation plan, develop and update is do what's called a travel demand modeling. It's a technical term for computer simulation, what a traffic condition is right now, and what it will be 25, 30 years down the road in light of population growth, employment increase in student enrollment in schools, because all those factors affect traffic volume on the roads. So we have done that computer simulation and modeling, and what it has shown is that yes, as a result of population, employment growth, and student increase, there will be more traffic on Atlanta Highway as well as all the other roads on Hall County. But it's not enough to justify putting Atlanta Highway above other road projects, considering that we are working with limited amount of funding. So we have to decide what is more important and what is not so important. We're not saying in any way that widening of Atlanta Highway is not important. It's just that we have to prioritize in light of the funding availability. Yes, ma'am.
I was wondering, you said that the stop signs and the no through traffic for the truckers would be 15 minutes, 150. What's the creation of more quickly? Like you say more quickly, do you mean once almost approved in August? Or what's the definition of when would we start maybe seeing stop signs? And is it 6 months out, a year out, possibly, or 2 years? When exit 14 is complete? More quickly is kind of broad. I don't know what that means.
3 to 6 months.
3 to 6 months. Okay.
All directly says 3 to 6 months.
From today?
How can the engineering will complete those signs? So,
What happened?
3 to 6 months from today?
yes, Ms. Gilchin.
Yes.
Okay.
Clock starts now.
I'll call you. Set a timer.
If the city of Flowery Branch says that Atlanta Highway does not need widening, then why were they, and like Mayor Miller has stated that he was on board with widening Martin Road. So what's the difference there? Why is he, and you can't answer that, but I want you to, the next time you see him.
Okay, I'll pass it on. I'll pass it on to my boss.
I mean, if that's, I'm just saying, I mean, you can't straddle the fence. So
Ms.
just
Spencer, you know how to get in touch with Mike.
you won't answer my calls anymore.
Good point.
Yes, Ms. Senator.
Well, no, when they do put in the new exit, and it comes out to Atlanta Highway and Martin Road, there is going to be some widening there from the state, because they'll have to have turning lanes and all that stuff to go to the exits. So it is going to widen some there in that intersection. But they're going to have turning lanes for people to go right onto the 14, people to turn left to go on 14, they go straight on 14, people come this way on 14. So there will be some widening to a certain degree. It just won't be the whole road,
Right.
just the intersection area. And that's pretty big.
It's already significant.
Yeah.
Alright, so what does the city of Oakwood think, because those trucks are gonna be going to hit Minor Highway? So does the city of Oakwood feel like that the Atlanta Road should be widened also?
We did not have a conversation with the city of Oakwood about Atlanta Highway, since it's in the Hall County and in the city of Flowery Branch. So we sat down with the manager and of the city of Flowery Branch, and they said that at this point they don't want to move forward with the widening of Atlanta Highway.
So those trucks are going to turn off the X14, go down Atlanta Highway till they hit the intersection, till they hit 53, which 53, is that considered right there, that corner, is that Oakwood or is that Flowery Branch? That store says
That's Oakwood.
But the thing is,
The black truck.
so, I mean, Atlanta
Unincorporated.
Highway, fine line right there, I mean, where's,
Both Flowery Branch and Oakwood are on our Fright Advisory Committee. We can talk with them about the issue that you brought up about Atlanta Highway connecting to. Yes.
How does the community maybe give feedback about the concept tonight?
That's what this meeting is all about.
Okay, so they're telling you right now verbally, or are we going to bring it back?
We can have conversations around those boards. We can have a discussion here. The presentation is over. We are here to have conversation. Yes, discussion.
Mr. Baker, Highway 13 highway, Oakland should not have a problem with them using that route because it will bypass all that down there at college and they keep that from being accepted.
We have not heard any objections from Oakwood.
I don't think Oakland would have a problem.
Would you like to go over there and look at those diagrams and have discussion over there? We can,
No.
we can talk one-on-one. We have a number of staff members. We can talk with you individually. Would you like to have a vote? Yes. How many of you would like to go for alternative number 7? Raise your hands. How many of you would like to go for alternative number 6? Raise your hand. What about alternative number 8? Raise your hand.
Sorry, I'm really against that one.
Who is opposed to all 3 alternatives and you want to widen Martin Road? Okay, so alternative number 7 and the meeting is over.